Well, hello again. I'm glad everybody was pretty receptive, or at least everybody that contacted me or left comments on the last video were pretty receptive about me going to Odyssey.com. Some of you were kind of glad I pulled the trigger and made it happen, but I appreciate that. Everything went off without a hitch. Now there was one little small glitch. I was told about Odyssey.com by a guy by the name of Dennis. He contacted me a few months ago with an email, and he talked to me about his mom. I think it was his mom had a Thunderbird, and we got talking. It was during the election season, and he asked me out of the blue what I thought of the presidential election, and I told him how I thought. I'm pretty wild about stuff like that, but he turned out to be a beast, a vile animal. He was really into that stuff, and that's when he told me. I mentioned that YouTube was getting to the point where it was being censoring and things like that, and he said, well, why don't you try Odyssey.com? I didn't know what Odyssey. I never heard of it. And he also said, well, you go there and go ahead and sign up. I said, look, I don't have time to do all this, and I said a lot of these things come and go with the wind. I mean, my God, look what happened to Parlor. I was there one day and gone the next, as far as I know. But that was a big disappointment for a lot of people. But that was after all this happened. I just didn't want to mess around learning all about an individual new social platform. As far as I'm concerned, it was new. I never heard of Odyssey, like I said. And he said, I'll tell you what you do. He said, go ahead and sign up for Odyssey. You won't have anything on there, nothing uploaded or anything. He said, give me your password and all that, and I'll go there. I'll establish an account. I said, I don't want. If I go there, I said I'll use my current YouTube account, but I said I don't want you messing with that. I said if you go there, you establish your own account. And he said that's what I'm going to do. He said I'll look around. He said I'll find it. He said I'd like to know about Odyssey also. I said, well, why don't you just sign up for it yourself? He said, no, I can't. He said I'm signing up for so many accounts now. I said, all right. I had nothing to lose. I didn't care. I didn't have anything uploaded to it anyway, so what did I care? So even if he got thrown off or the thing got deleted, I would have lost nothing. So, it didn't matter to me. He's a pretty good feller. And so he came back a couple weeks later, and he told me, yeah, it's a good site. And he also told me about a guy on that website called the Salty Cracker. I told Brendan about it. I said, yeah, have you heard about Odyssey.com and this guy named Salty Cracker? You need to go watch him. Well, Salty Cracker, I've been watching him ever since. Well, I rock and rolled for about 2 months. I didn't hear much more from Dennis after that. But he said the website's good. It does not practice censorship. And one of the only problems it has is there's no playlists. He said, but I found out that just recently that they're working on generating playlists. So that was a big negative to me. I wasn't really interested with no playlists, but they are working on it. Apparently it's going through a lot of pains right now with the expansion. So many people are going there, and along with other, BitChute, DLive, and a bunch of other places I don't care about. But this will be my last transfer of any videos. It's been my experience that eventually, if a website gets big enough and generates enough competition, someone will come along and offer them, a couple of $1 billion, and then they'll sell. They'll get rid of it. I mean, when they start shaking all that money in front of them, it's going to disappear. And, we may be right back in the same boat I was on YouTube, censorship. If that's the case, I'll just stop putting up videos altogether. I don't need that. I don't want the headache. It would generate a lot of frustration with me. And anyway, that's how it all went down. But the channel that he established on that account that I signed up for on Odyssey.com, I made a couple of you came over and left comments. Well, I responded, and instead of my Joe Earn 1 showing up, I didn't even notice it. Somebody wrote me, I think it was I Am Rocker, wrote me and told me about it. And I went, oh man, I didn't even notice that. They were being answered as Dennis's handle. Well, I got rid of it. So I deleted it at first. I deleted the channel, but I deleted his channel, but on my channel, kind of a weird situation. But it still left it on the comments. I said, well, I just deleted that. Why are those? So I searched around, messed around a little bit longer. See, this is what I didn't want to get involved in, but I had to do it now. And I found out that in order to get rid of his channel, on my channel, I had to block his channel from my channel on Odyssey.com. I couldn't understand all that, but that's the way they do it. Okay. Anyway, everything's all squared away now, and you know, I don't know if he had anything anywhere else that he had commented on or whatever, but yeah, like I said, he was a political animal. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll hear from him again, maybe not. But anyway, we're all on track, and this is going to be the first video upload. I hope it all goes well. So let's get cranked up here. The weather's been pretty cold out there, and I just can't get out in the shop or out in the garage and work on it. I can work in the shop, you know, I warm it up a little bit, but small things. I can't get in the car. I could, I suppose, but I'd be freezing to death, and I'm just not going to do that. I can't afford to get pneumonia. At my age, it'd be all over in a matter of days. Anyway, I thought today what I would do on this video is to give a little information to those who enjoy looking at Thunderbirds. They might be thinking about buying a Thunderbird or already own a Thunderbird, and they don't know certain things or you know, a few things, and maybe I can round you know, their knowledge base a little bit. There's a website out there called that's run by Hemmings Motor News. I've been a big fan of Hemmings for decades, and they put out good information, and they have a big old thick catalog. I used to drool over Hemmings. I knew a guy that would go to Hemmings almost about every 6 to 8 weeks. He would buy a car off Hemmings, park it in his carport, advertise it for sale, and turn around and sell it for sometimes $2,000 to $3,000 profit. And he said, all I ever do is park it right there and advertise it. I don't change the oil, I don't do anything. And he would do that 4 or 5 times a year. I thought that was pretty slick. The last one he bought and sold, I remember, was a Mercury, what do they call those? I can't remember the name of it, but it was a pretty cool car. That's how bad my memory's gotten. All right, let's go down and pass a little information on, and you can also look this website up for yourself. Lots of good written material to go with the pictures. All right, your 55 through 57, they had these names here: Early Bird, Little Bird, and Baby Bird. So it was a 2-seater. There were a couple in the town when that I grew up in. They were kind of a cool car. I never liked the fact that they were 2-seater. It wasn't conducive to going out on dates, if you know what I mean. But it was a cool little car. Let me see. Now we have the Square Bird, which was 58 through 60. Okay, get out of here, advertisement. I don't want you. 58. Let me zoom in here a little bit, give us a little better shot. 58 through 60 was the Square Bird. I didn't particularly care for this style bird at all. To me, it looked like a box, and that's why they called it Square Bird, because it was square. Not a whole lot of design there, I thought. Didn't care for it. But it's still, you know, it's still a classic Thunderbird. You know, a lot of people have them who really like them. I didn't particularly care. And by the way, the price range on those right now between $20,000 to $60,000. Let's go back to the 55 to 57 and see if they have a price range. They start around 20 grand, it says. Right around under 50 grand for that car. I wouldn't pay that for that or that. Then we get down to the Bullet Bird. Obvious reasons. It was a space age bird, I used to call it. Kind of looks like a rocket, you know, more than a bullet to me. But anyway, we were coming into the space age in the 60s, and that's how that came about. But 61 to 63, the Bullet Bird. You know, people in the know refer to the cars in their nicknames. Then, of course, you have the Flare Bird, which is what I own. You know, this is your 64 through 66. I just love the convertible. God, the convertible is so nice, but they're so expensive. Let's see if there's a price range on those. Yeah, another. It says asking prices hover around $50,000 if they're restored. I think that's a little much for that car, even as beautiful as it is. And let me see, I guess that's about it. Then, of course, you have your Glamour Bird, 67 to 71. Didn't like that at all. I don't like that big. They look like an open mouth to me all the time. I thought that was an ugly car. Some people love these things, you know. It's a matter of taste. The Big Bird, 72 to 76. You know, in my mind, that's no longer a Thunderbird. That's just some kind of a luxury car. I have a relative who used to buy these and drive them all the time. They rode nice, but I don't know. To me, the Thunderbird, it was gone. You know, the looks of the Thunderbird was gone with that car. Then we have the Torino Bird. I don't know about that one either. It kind of looks nice, but it's a big car, you know. To me, a T-Bird has to remain kind of a smaller car. The Box Bird, I don't know. I didn't care for that one either. I'm kind of the old classic guy when T-Birds. And then the Arrow Bird. I don't know about that. You know, at this point, T-Bird was kind of fading out. Superbird doesn't even look like a Thunderbird. Look at that. I don't know what that looks like. Retro Bird. Yeah, that thing there. I understand that was a big flop. I guess that's it as far as the Thunderbirds go. The Retro Bird was just 3 years, 2002 to 2005. Anyway, I just thought I'd pass that information along to you with starting out this video. Now the next thing is a lot of people are looking for parts all the time. Where can I find parts? I need this, I need that. You know, there are a lot of vendors out there, but they don't sell all parts. You know, you may need a roof for your car, or you just want to buy a parts car. There's a place up in Vermilion, Ohio. It's called Bob's. Let me see. It's called Bob's Classic Cars, and it's a salvage yard. And it was owned by a fellow by the name of Bob Jasinski. Now Bob has passed away, and his wife now owns the salvage yard for the Thunderbirds, and her former employee and still employee named John is now liquidating a lot of this stuff. He has all, you know, he'll sell cars or he'll sell parts, and he told, I've already dealt with him. I bought a couple of things from him, and excuse me, he told me that he has, I think, 7 or 8 trailers full of parts, new parts and used parts, and I bought a couple of those things from him. Very reasonable on price, very reasonable. Generally about half what you pay elsewhere. So this is the looks like the 59s, I guess it is. And then here's a mixture, and the newer style T-Birds. And of course all of our flare birds, just lots of them. Here's another side, the opposite side of the flare birds, more here. And some bullet birds, convertibles with parts. You need a bracket for your convertible or something, this is where you go. Because he'll sell to you. You know, you can buy the entire car. He also specializes in old Lincolns as well. Look at this. This is amazing, isn't it? Mr. Jasinski had this lot for years and years and years. And John's basic function in life right now, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, is to liquidate all this stuff for Mrs. Jasinski. And he's doing a very good job of it. You know, he says there's so much he'll never get rid of it all. He said he'll do it as long as he can, and then he'll have to give it up eventually. Today is pretty cold out here in the garage, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to last. We've got about 2.5 weeks of winter left. The temperature's going to go up into the 60s, and everything will be fine from then on. It all begins on February 18th, so that's when the temperatures start heading north. So what I'm going to do today until I run out of heat, body heat, I guess, I'm going to take this old electrical tape. I'm going to take these wires loose that are grounding this thing over here, and I'm going to pull all this crap back, and we're going to tape up all this wire and make it look as neat as I can back to original condition. We have our key switch on the way. I ordered a new switch and a new lock barrel. I guess that's what they call. I can't remember what they call that crap. I have a terrible time and stuff like that. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up nice and neat. And the way we're going to do this, let me see. I'm going to start from this end, okay? I'm going to get all this stuff moved back out of the way, start from this end. Now, you start down about right here, wrapping it with electrical tape. Then you go back up this way toward about right there. Then you come back down across what you had already wrapped, and that way you don't have a loose end sticking up, okay? And when you get to this end down here, you're going to have a loose end somewhere in this area. I get this out of the way. This is a plug that's not used. I don't know what this is for. I'm sure it was one of the options. But anyway, we'll get it down to about right here, and then we're going to have to start going this way until we get down about here, and then the entire thing will probably be wrapped up again here. But it's going to be a slow process. You know, when it comes to this stuff, don't get in a big hurry. Don't just start wrapping around. That's good enough. You know, don't do that. Take your time. If you don't, you'll pay the price. I'm telling you. So that's what's going to happen. Let's see how well I can pull it off. Here's something really weird. Look at all these aircraft streaks in the sky. You've got one coming up here. That's that guy up there. I don't know if you can see him. Then there's another one over here. And you've got another one crisscrossing in this area here. Hard to make out. And then there was some over here going in that direction. Oh, I don't get that. I've never seen. Then there's some all coming up from this direction. Are we being attacked by the Russians? Look at this. Holy mackerel, these jets are everywhere. I wonder where they're coming from. There's no airports out there in that direction. Unless it's Tinker Air Force Base out in Oklahoma. Well, my workbench is a total mess. What a disaster, huh? Look, I got crap everywhere. But I'll tell you what, there really is a method to this madness. I always like to keep it nice and clean. How on earth did it ever get this way? Alright, well, let's start from the beginning. Every time I crawl under the car, it seems like I get something falling down in my eye and I have to go to the eye doctor and take it out. It doesn't matter if I wear my glasses, wear these goggles, I still get it in my eye. The doc thinks I must be nuts. Every time I turn around, I'm in there, doc, I got something else in my eye. So it happened again the other day. Well, I was talking about it with, you know, what happened was this, I had my glasses on, I had these on, but there's an area right in here that doesn't quite fit my head right, and it's just about no more than 1/4 of an inch. Well, when you know it, a piece of stuff came down. It's got my entire body to fall on, but something fell down, made it between that little tiny space there, and down the back of my glasses and into my eye. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Anyway, something has to be done. I've been to the doc maybe 5 times already about something in my eye. Well, the other day I was talking to the hospice lady that helps take care of wifey, and she said, well, have you ever considered swimmer's glasses? I said, you know something, that's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? Well, I immediately went over to the computer and ordered a pair of swimmer's glasses. They're real cheap. They're only like $7, and I got this really nice set. Comes in a case and everything, and I adjusted the straps already, and these are the swimmer's glasses. Now they look a little dark, but they're actually not. You can see really good through them. And I've tried them on. They have a nice suction fit around the eyes. Oh man, that is going to keep stuff out of my eyes. The best part about it is I can still wear my glasses over the top of it, and I can still put these stupid goggles over the top of it. So I can have triple coverage here. That's number one. Let's move on to the next item. The next item is the repair of our flasher here. I still have to clean it up and everything, but this little switch I bought at my local hardware store. I went back to the same place I went to before. I didn't get one that time, but this one here, this is a 8 amp, and it's 125 volt. It's an 8 amp or 4 volts at 250 volts. 4 amps at 250 volts. It's just a vacuum switch, on off, and single pole, single throw, and you just mount it right there. I had to put a washer as a spacer so this thing here would go completely down. That nut would not have pulled it down if I didn't do that, and it's pretty darn close to that push rod there. Let me see if I can show you here. See that push rod at the very top of the black knob? See it? It moves in just enough to make it work. The only problem I'm having with it, it's a little stiff. So once you get it mounted in, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut this plug off the end and splice it on the end of these two wires so I can just go ahead and plug it in the original plug. But it is a little stiff. So here I've got the multimeter hooked up to it. And she shuts off. That'll work. And I put a little WD-40 down in there, maybe kind of hoping it'll... She's awfully stiff. I just can't get over that. Got to be a way to make that work a little better. It may not be the button on the switch. It may be something else down in here. I'll check it out. Anyway, that's item number 2. Number 3. Okay, number 3 is I have removed. I'll be messing with the air conditioner, the heat control mechanism here. I'm not going to do a lot. I just need to do a couple of checkouts, and I've since gone to Nick, his video he put up, on his vintage Thunderbird repair about these things and about this color wheel. I wanted to get a little refresher. Most of it I understood, some of it I didn't. I'll get together with him about that. But what we have here is the air conditioning. The bottom lever is strictly the heat control. The rest is heat and air AC at the top with this lever here. So, and it's all controlled by vacuum through the inputs on this color wheel here. I've removed both of the screws on each side. So let's get that over here. Now, according to what Nick says in the video, the black pie slice, which is right here, that there supplies all the vacuum. This is the input, the vacuum source right here. So what I'm going to do is hook up a vacuum line to it, right like so, and then I'm going to hook it up to my vacuum pump. Which reminds me, I got fed up with that old Harbor Freight pump. It would work one time and not the next, and I have decided to go out and buy a Mityvac MV8000 with all the little gizmos and gadgets and everything. And this thing should, and I can use it to bleed my brakes and everything, fluid transfers, whatnot. And we're going to go ahead and use that. I first saw this, by the way, on Auto Anatomy, the channel Auto Anatomy. Sean, he has a '66 Thunderbird, and he checked all of his vacuum lines out using one of these. I don't know if his was the 8000, but this is close enough as far as I'm concerned. I think if his was the 8000, I'm not sure. But they look the same, and they'll probably work the same. So let me get this thing out of here. I'm going to have to put some attachments on it that'll get this hose down here to about down to about 1/8 of an inch, and then we'll put a little vacuum on there and see if we have any leaks. This will be the fitting I'm using to check that thing out. The large end, of course, will go into the plastic hose on the end of the hose, and the pointed end will go in here. And I've already got it connected to the pump. By the way, these rubber caps, yeah, I got at O'Reilly. Nick mentioned them. He had a different brand name, but these are all the same. The part number at O'Reilly's. Now, of course, I needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And of course, there's only 5 in a pack, so I had to buy 2 packs, but they're only like $3 or something like that. So there's the part number at O'Reilly. This is a who makes these things? I can't even see what it is. It's I don't know. I don't even know the brand name. It was on the back. Don't ask me where it went now. But anyway, 47389 vacuum caps. Okay. All right. Let me get this thing hooked up. And then we'll do a pump and find out whether or not this disc is going to hold the vacuum. Alright, here goes. Watch your gauge here. I'm just going to pump it up to about 15, which should be about right there. Let me see if I can get the glare off of this thing enough for us to see. Yeah. Okay, here goes. I've got it connected to the black, and I've got this thing moved all the way to the right. Come on, baby, hold pressure. I hit that bottom thing with my finger right there. That's the release for the pressure, okay? Let's pump her up again. Slowly leaking. Shucks. All right, let me move it back and forth, the handle here back and forth, and see if anyone in particular leaks. But that's a slow leak. You know, with the engine running, it could probably make up the difference. But as long as we only have something like that. But if you have 2 or 3 items going at the same time, it could be a problem. Now there's 5 positions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I turn this handle, this thing here will click 5 positions, and then the 4th and the 5th are the big problems. In particular, the 5th one. I've got it in the 5th position right now. Check this out. Yeah, see, that's no good. It won't even hold. Just what I needed. So how do we fix this thing? Well, I'll tell you what. You go to Vintage Thunderbird Repair, and I'll put a link down underneath the video. It'll take you to the video that Nick put up that shows you how to repair this. There's no sense in me going over the whole thing. He's already done it for us. I will have a few questions for him that I'll put up in a future video, probably the next one. And so as far as I'm concerned, that goes off to the side until I get around to doing it. Last thing I wanted to show you on this, when this thing sits like so, you have your heat and cooling max and minimum, okay? Like so. There'll be knobs on here. I don't think I even have the knobs. I don't know, I might. What that deal is, that thing right there controls this valve. There's a black plastic valve in here. This thing controls. You can see it moving in and out. There. It's probably a little diaphragm down in there. Let's look at it from the side. Right there is what it looks like from the side. And the way that baby works is the vacuum comes in here, in that large one. If I can ever get my pencil where it belongs, there we go. The vacuum from the engine will come in here. And you'll remember I disconnected a large vacuum line about this big here, about this size right here. I disconnected it from a T-fitting underneath there in order to get the whole mechanism out. Well, once it comes in, where it was going under here was that fitting right there. And then it will come out in this, where the heck is my pencil? There we go. It'll come out in the small one right there, and then it goes up and into the gray connector on here. The gray being this one right here, right? And the gray, I took notes here. The gray is temperature switch that's controlled by the temperature control lever. Goes to the temperature switch. And that's all there are of it. Now the temperature switch, I'm not sure where the temperature switch is. I'll have to go back and look at all of Nick's videos, especially the one about the, well, actually not all of them. I'll look at the one about the vacuum lines. Trying to remember all that stuff. He knows that stuff right off the top of his head. He's done it, I guess, once or twice anyway in his life. Me, I'm just learning it. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but, you know, we're going to clean this baby up. We're going to de-rust it. We're going to take all that rust off of there. I bought 2 bottles of navel jelly. Anybody doesn't know what navel jelly is? Let me show you. It's made by Loctite. I don't think it's always been made by Loctite, but it is now. Used it on my radios a lot. Cannot tell you how many chassis I have de-rusted with Loctite when I was restoring old radios. It's unbelievable. This stuff is fantastic. And as far as the screws and nuts and bolts and everything that I take out that might have some rust, I'll just pour some in the cap and soak the screws and washers and whatever down in there, and it'll take all that rust off there also. All you need is a Q-tip. And I'll go ahead and I'll fill the cap with the rust dissolver, the navel jelly. Navel jelly, see it right there? And then I'll just dip this in the navel jelly. After I remove this from here, then I'll just smear it. First I'll wire brush as much as I can off. Then I'll just take this and smear it around. Let it set. I've let this stuff set up to 8 to 12 hours. Well, you got to keep it wet though. You can't let it get dry. You got to keep it wet, so it can be kind of a tedious problem. Or I could just throw this in some vinegar once I take it off. The only thing holding it on are these two screws here, and these two screws here, and this whole thing will come off, and I could just throw it in the vinegar, which I might also do. I don't know. We'll see. Well, maybe I better go over this navel jelly a little bit here. This stuff is a low-level, mild phosphoric acid, okay? And been around for generations. And you want to be careful. You know, just don't breathe the fumes on this thing. I'm going to show you what it'll do. You just kind of lay it on there. I just dab it on is what I do. You know, I'll tell you, I have derusted so many things on Neville's old radios with this stuff. And we'll just let that sit like that. I'll come back and keep it wet. Now, what I should have done was wire brushed it real good. If you help navel jelly, it works a whole lot better. Let me go ahead and work some wire brush over here, and then we'll apply some there, and then we'll come back and see which one looks the best. Alright, let's lay this on there like that. You can also use a light sandpaper. You know, you don't have to sand it all the way down, but every little bit helps the old navel jelly work a lot faster. Just don't be breathing in the fumes. There's not a whole lot of fumes, but you know, you don't want to be breathing them in, whatever's there. Don't be afraid to use it. Pile it on there. Then just let it sit. Alright, let's find out how she's doing right now in our little test spots. You're supposed to use water to wipe it off with. You know, it's water soluble. Remember now, this is an acid. A very mild phosphoric acid. If you get any on your hands or whatever, just wash it off with water real quick. Won't be any problem. As you can see, the difference between the left side and the right side, just giving it a good wire brushing really helped a lot. Even though they both look fairly good, this one here is actually much better. This is right down the middle. This still has quite a bit of rust spots still hanging in there. So give it a good wire brushing. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I don't know if I'm going to waste more navel jelly on it or just sink it down in some vinegar. I'll know by the next video. Item number 4 is we have our brand new key ignition switch in. We have our new, no, it's over here. With our 2 keys, we have our key lock cylinder to go with it. So these 2 old ones can bite the dust. Now this thing here had an original rubber cap on it. You want to keep that cap because once you hook the ignition, once you hook the battery power to the entire switch, you want to cover that baby up so it doesn't touch anything, because otherwise you're going to get the full 12 volts of that battery. And I had a friend of mine, and I told the story I think quite a while ago. I had a friend of mine when I was a kid. He was working on his 55 Chevy convertible. He reached up underneath. He had one of those Spidell Twist-A-Flex wristwatches, and he reached up underneath. He was having a lot of problems with his ignition, and when he got his hand up in there, instead of removing his watch, it touched the power source to the ignition switch. The Spidell Twist-A-Flex watch had a leather coating on it, sort of a fake leather, I guess, on the outer side. And it fried every bit of it off, and it made an impression in his wrist all the way around. I don't know if he ever got rid of that or not. Boy, when he took that thing, he pulled it away from his skin afterwards, and the meat was just coming right off of the watch band. So I'll never forget that. That was a lesson learned. Actually, you know, anytime you work on electronics, you should remove rings, watches, and other jewelry, and that includes necklaces, okay? Especially if you're working on high voltage stuff. Rings, watches, and jewelry should go. I see that a lot on these repair videos where the people wear those things and are working on some pretty high voltage stuff. You know, rings, you can tape them over with some electrical tape or something, but rings, watches, and jewelry should go. All right, let me see if I can't get this inside of this. Now I have to, again, see that little hole there at the top of the key? Let me zoom in here. There we go. See that hole right there? I still have to put a little something in there and press it in about, not very far, not even 1/8 of an inch, in order to get that thing to push in and enable me to stick it in here, turn it to the left, and lock it in. So I'll see if I can get that done. Now there's only one way this thing will go in, and that is this square part right here has to line up with this square part right there. So this has to go in like this first, just like so. See, it won't go in any other way. Now let's go a little bit further in this for folks who have never done it. Now this hole right here has to line up with a pin in this right here. So I obviously have to turn the key to the left to get that hole in that pin to line up. Alright, now you can see the pin. That's that gold thing right there. It has to line up with the hole. If it doesn't line up with the hole, what happens is the wire that you're using will go all the way through and stick off to the other side, okay? So once I line it up, I'll shove it in and wiggle it around a little bit until you have to keep it shoved in. But you don't have to, you don't want to bury it. You know, it only needs to go in about probably no more than, I don't know, a 1/16 of an inch or so. Not very far. No more than an 1/8 of an inch, I don't think. Once you get the pin lined up with the hole, you push it in and then you turn the key to the left while you're holding it in. And it'll click right in and go down in there. And as you can see, everything is nice and flush now. Now the key will turn and it goes down in, and that's it. Yeah, no problem at all. Works fine, lasts a long time. Now this key switch did not come with a lock washer. The old one had a lock washer on it, and this one does have a lock washer now. So as far as this stuff goes, in the trash. Don't keep that junk. You got a brand new one here. Everything is good to go. We got 2 brand new keys. Get rid of the junk. Put the nice new stuff in the car, which we will do in a few minutes. Our key switch is back in. Don't forget to put that rubber cap on the end there where that battery cable connects. And what I'm going to do now is put the power to it, hook up the battery, check out all the lights and see if they work. If so, then that's done for now. We are ready to make this look pretty again. Now I went ahead and pulled out all the wires and smoothed them out the best I could, and then periodically taped them to hold them in place so I didn't have to fight it with them while I'm wrapping. I did the same thing down here on this one, and I did the same thing on this one here. And I also squeezed all of the connectors together. And I used a big pair of pliers to do that. You can do it if you're very, very careful. I just took these babies right here, these big old jobbies, and I just kind of caught at an angle. I didn't go at it straight in. I just kind of caught it at the angle between the wires, and I was able to move left and right and then flip it over on the other side and do the same thing, and maybe on the end a little bit right here, and they just squeeze right together with no problem at all, especially if you have that silicone grease in there. Okay, I did that with every single one of them, so we're all good to go. Everything is now working again with the exception of, ta-da, the flashers. Oh man, this is getting ridiculous. You know, all I did was change the key switch out. I hooked up my flasher wires here, just jumped across there. Nothing, not a thing. All the other lights are working fine. The signal lights, the stop lights, everything's fine. Signal, you know, it's just, you know, the parking lights. I don't know, I don't get it. But I'll tell you one thing. It's cold out here again, and I'm going to call it quits for today. So I'll try to get a video up as soon as I can about this flasher business. It's just beginning to bother me now, okay? And it's got to be Brendan's fault, so I'm going to have to check with him, find out what he did wrong. Until next time, this is John.